All right, welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. You ready to talk some basketball?
Always ready.
All right, awesome. So today we're going to be talking about rebounding, which I think is, maybe it doesn't get as much attention as shooting and dribbling and all that stuff. But
Fundamentals.
yeah,
right? Yeah.
it's super important, right? It can really make or break a game.
For sure. Every possession matters.
Exactly. So we're going to be looking at a video today from Shot Mechanics featuring Collin Castellaw. He's a pro coach.
Yeah.
And he breaks down rebounding into these really practical, usable tips.
Yeah. He does a great job of simplifying some of the core concepts.
Exactly. So let's jump right in. One of the first things that Castellaw talks about is timing. And he uses Dennis Rodman as an example. Rodman wasn't the biggest guy on the court, but he was an absolute beast on the boards.
Oh, yeah. Legendary rebounder.
Right. And Castellaw's point is that a lot of that came down to timing. Like Rodman was incredible at timing his jumps to grab the ball at its highest point.
Right. So it's not just about jumping high, it's about jumping at the right time.
Exactly. And what's really cool is that Castellaw actually gives us a drill to work on this. He says you can practice jumping and catching the ball at the peak of your jump. You can even do it against a wall if you're by yourself.
So that's something anyone can work on no matter where they are.
Exactly. It's super accessible. So I'm curious, why is catching the ball at its highest point so important?
Well, think about it. When you catch the ball at its peak, you're maximizing your reach, right? You're basically extending your vertical. And that gives you a huge advantage over anyone else who's trying to get that rebound.
Oh, that makes total sense. It's like you're getting a head start.
Exactly.
So we've got timing down. But then Castellaw throws in this other element, which I've got to admit I'd never really thought about before.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
He talks about rebound direction.
Rebound direction.
Yeah, he says that most rebounds actually tend to go to the opposite side of the court from where the shot was taken.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
I've never noticed that.
It's kind of mind-blowing, right? Like, I've always just kind of reacted to where the ball went. But he's saying that if you understand this tendency, you can actually predict where the rebound is going to go and position yourself accordingly.
So instead of just reacting, you're being proactive.
Exactly.
I like it.
So let's say your opponent takes a shot from the right side of the court.
Okay, yeah.
According to Castellaw, where should you be moving?
To the left.
To the left.
Yeah.
You got it.
So you're already there waiting for it.
Exactly. And Castellaw says that this one tip alone can get you like 3 or 4 more rebounds per game.
Wow, that's significant.
Right. Just from understanding where the ball is likely to go.
Just by playing the percentages.
Yeah. Now, I do have one question about this whole rebound direction thing.
Yeah, what's that?
What if everyone starts doing this?
Ah, good point.
Right. Like if everyone knows that most rebounds go to the opposite side.
Want to just shift the battle to a different spot?
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's where the strategy comes in. You have to be adaptable, right? You got to read the situation, maybe even use this knowledge to fake out your opponents.
Oh, okay. So there's like a mind game element to it too.
Yeah, for sure.
That's really interesting. All right. So we've covered timing. We've covered rebound direction. Now let's talk about the classic box out.
Oh, yeah, the bread and butter of rebounding.
Right. And everyone knows you're supposed to box out.
Yeah.
But Castellaw points out a really common mistake that people make, even experienced players.
What's that?
It's not just about bumping your opponent.
Okay.
It's about holding that box out position.
So not just a quick nudge and then go for the ball.
Exactly. You have to hold it long enough to actually prevent them from getting the rebound.
Otherwise, you're just giving them a chance to time their jump and steal it from you.
Exactly. And Castellaw actually suggests a slight adjustment to the traditional box out technique.
Oh, I'm curious to hear this.
Especially for today's players who are, so much faster and more agile.
Okay.
He says, instead of just using your backside, you should actually use a forearm to the chest.
A forearm to the chest, okay?
Yeah. And maintain contact with your opponent.
Yeah.
And then only go for the ball once it actually starts coming off the rim.
So it's not just about brute force, it's about control and timing.
Exactly. It's about asserting your dominance in that rebounding space.
Interesting.
So we've got timing those jumps, strategically positioning ourselves based on rebound direction, and mastering the extended box out.
3 really key elements.
Right. And it makes you wonder, how many rebounds have we all missed out on because we weren't applying these techniques?
Right. It really makes you think.
But that's what's so great about these deep dives, right? We get to uncover these little nuggets of wisdom. And it's like, oh, I can actually use that.
Totally. Actionable advice you can take straight to the court.
Exactly. All right. So that wraps up our discussion on those first 3 tips. But we're not done yet. We've got a lot more ground to cover. So stay tuned for part 2 of this deep dive, where we'll explore even more strategies for dominating the boards.
You know, it's interesting. When you think about rebounding, you often picture those crazy athletic guys just sky high.
Oh, for sure.
Just dominating. Right.
Yeah, the highlight reels?
Exactly. But Castellaw emphasizes that. There's a huge mental aspect to rebounding, too. It's not just about physicality.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's about...
It's a chess match almost.
It is. Yeah. You're thinking a couple steps ahead.
Exactly. And one thing he talks about is being aware of player tendencies. For example, if you know a certain opponent tends to rush their shots, you can kind of anticipate where the rebound might go.
Oh, interesting.
Right. So it's not just about your own skills. It's about understanding your opponents.
Scouting, yeah.
And that kind of ties into the whole box out thing we were talking about before. It's not just about using your body to block someone out.
Right.
It's about using your positioning and your knowledge of the game to control the space.
I'm picturing it like almost a dance where you're anticipating your opponent's moves and countering them.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. It's like a dance battle for the rebound.
Exactly.
Castellaw also mentions this, a variation on the box out.
Okay.
That's really effective against the more, modern agile players.
Oh, yeah, those shifty guys.
Yeah. He suggests using a forearm to the chest instead of just your back.
So you're kind of steering them.
Yeah.
Instead of just blocking them.
And it's about maintaining that contact.
Yeah.
And only going for the ball when it starts coming off the rim.
So it's more proactive.
Exactly.
So,
you're not just reacting.
It's about dictating the terms of the rebound.
I like that.
So we're seeing this theme again, right? Timing, positioning, control.
Those seem to be the key ingredients.
Yeah. And what really struck me is we're not just talking about grabbing a ball here.
Yeah.
We're talking about gaining a serious advantage in the game. Every rebound is an opportunity to swing the momentum.
It can change the whole flow of the game.
It can.
And that's what makes these insights so valuable, right? It's not just theory. It's stuff you can actually use.
Absolutely. Practical tips that translate to results.
Yeah. Now, I want to leave you with something to think about.
Okay.
Think back to those moments when you've just barely missed a rebound.
Ooh, yeah, those are frustrating.
Ones that just slipped out of your grasp. And you knew you could have done better.
Yeah.
Could any of these tips from Castellaw have made a difference in those moments?
I like that.
Right,
sure.
Could you have adjusted your timing or your positioning or used that forearm technique?
So it's about taking what we've learned and applying it to those past experiences.
Exactly. Because if we can learn from those missed opportunities, we can become even better rebounders in the future.
It's all about continuous improvement.
Exactly. And that's what makes basketball so great. It's a constant challenge to learn and grow and push ourselves.
I love it.
So let's keep that in mind as we move on to part 3 of this deep dive. We're going to explore even more techniques and strategies to help you dominate the boards. You know what I really appreciate about Castellaw?
What's that?
He doesn't just tell you what to do. He explains why it works.
Oh, yeah. I think that's super important.
Right. Knowing that most rebounds go to the opposite side, that's helpful, but understanding why.
The physics of it.
Yeah. The physics, the player tendencies.
That's what really makes it click.
Exactly. And then you can actually apply it. You're not just mimicking a move.
Right. You're understanding the strategy.
Exactly. It's like he gives you the cheat codes to the game.
I like that analogy.
And I feel like even with all this, we've just scratched the surface.
There's always more to learn.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But hopefully, this has given everyone some good stuff to think about.
Some tools to work with.
Yeah. And if there's one thing I want people to take away from this,
okay,
it's that rebounding is a skill. Anyone can improve. It doesn't matter how tall you are or how athletic you are.
It's about technique and strategy.
Exactly. So
Okay.
next time you're in a game and you see that ball coming off the rim, remember everything we talked about. Timing, positioning, that forearm technique. Use your knowledge.
Be proactive.
Yeah. Don't just react. Anticipate.
Love it.
All right. That's all for our deep dive on rebounding. Hope you all enjoyed it. Until next time, keep practicing.